Russia has reportedly struck a deal with Syrian rebel groups that saw ousted dictator Bashar al-Assad leave the country and head to Moscow, where the Russian government says he's been granted political asylum on humanitarian grounds. This deal secures the safety of Russia's two bases on Syria's Mediterranean coast, a naval base and an air force base that are critical to Russia's activities in the Mediterranean, the Middle East, and particularly in Africa. There was some concern about what might happen to those bases when Syrian opposition forces took over, but it looks like the exit of Assad has been done in exchange for the rebels leaving the bases alone, and as a result, the rebel forces were able to sweep into Damascus unopposed, and the Syrian government troops either surrendered or fled. It means that opposition groups are now in control in Damascus. The leader of the main opposition faction, Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, who heads the group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, an Islamist group from the northwest of Syria. He's addressed supporters in the famous Umayyad Mosque in the center of Damascus. He's called the rebel victory a turning point for the region and a new chapter in the history of the Islamic nation. HTS, there are a lot of concerns about HTS because it comes from jihadist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. That's where its roots are, although in recent years it's disavowed that kind of transnational jihadism. It's promising an inclusive and tolerant Syria for ethnic minorities. Syria is a multi-ethnic and multi-religious country, and overwhelmingly Syrians are welcoming the change. They're hopeful that the end of the Assad regime means that finally there's a chance for Syria's future. There's been scenes of celebration right across Syria, and perhaps the most poignant symbol of the fall of the Assad regime is the sight of prisoners being freed from Assad's notorious prisons. Many people have been locked up there for years. There are thousands of political prisoners. Many people have simply disappeared. Syrians called it going behind the sun because they didn't know what had happened to their loved ones. There are families waiting in Damascus, desperate for news of relatives from whom they haven't heard for years because they were taken away by Syria's secret police. So there's been scenes of joy, scenes of heartache, and an overwhelming sense of relief for the people, not only in Syria, but for the many Syrians who were forced into exile as a result of this civil war. After 13 years of conflict, they hope now that there'll be no more fighting, no more bloodshed, a political process to secure Syria's future and resolve, and hold those accountable, who put such misery upon the people of Syria for so many years.